Hello, welcome to Sip's Wood Chips. I'm Sip Mendez. Today I'm going to show you how to take this, a piece of Mesquite Burl, and make it into a natural edge bowl. Well, let's get started. These videos are intended for entertainment purposes only. Make sure you read and understand all the instructions that come with your power equipment. Always work safely. Wear a dust mask, a face shield, and any other safety equipment that may be required. This is the original Mesquite Burl, and as you can tell, a bow saw is not going to work. I purchased a small electric chainsaw to cut it into more manageable pieces. Using the 3/4 inch chisel and a mallet, I removed bark and wood to create a flat spot to attach my screw chuck. I drilled a 5/16 pilot hole in the blank, about an inch deep, to mount the blank on the screw chuck. I used my tail piece to help me push the blank onto the screw. The blank was quite out of round, so I could barely spin it at 250 RPMs. I haven't had use of my bandsaw lately, so I had to start by chipping off all of the rough edges with a 3/4 inch roughing gouge. I stopped the lathe frequently to check for problems and retightened my fittings. Everything looked good, so I was able to increase the speed to about 300 RPMs. We're going to go ahead and come up to 365. We're spinning at 425 RPMs. I'm spinning at 450 RPMs. I went ahead and sharpened my roughing gouge and cleaned off some of the pitch on the flute. Let's see if that goes. Now this part's starting to look pretty good. I'm almost down. At this point, I'm all the way around here. It looks pretty circular. Feeling a little balanced, better balanced. I'm gonna go ahead and start trying to take a little bit off the back here now. And I might go ahead and just saw that off, but let's see what I can do with it. I don't like this little part here, so I'm going to try to get rid of it quicker, a little bit quicker, and maybe come from the outside here. So I've been working on this a while, and I think the best thing may be to take off about an inch and see what it looks like underneath. So I may just take a parting tool and start cutting this back. It won't be as deep, but that's okay. Let's see how rotted it is in there. Go ahead and use a 1/4 inch parting tool. So I took a parting tool and cut down in here, and you can see that there's some very large cavities and crevices and very large holes in there. And this one looks like if I were to cut this completely off, it would be gone though. And some of the other ones seem to be going away also. This one's quite deep. I feel like a dentist. Well, it looks like I'd have to take at least another 1/4 to a 1/2 inch off to get down to some good wood. Let's see how well I can get in here and get some of that stuff out of there. So I'm going to use a 1-inch round nose and try to straighten out the back is kind of concave right now, so I'm going to try to straighten that out a little bit. And I have to call it a night. That doesn't look too bad. I think I can go ahead and flatten it out, make my foot, and then go ahead and cut my dovetail. I'm ready to cut the tenant, so I need to set my calipers for 52 millimeters. That's 50, 51, 52. Tighten that down. Now I'm going to spin it and just make a mark where they should be. I only touch one side. Looks like maybe about there. Whoa, way off. Okay, so I need to be just on the outside of that line. So I'm going to start off with a 1/8 inch parting tool. Make sure everything's tight. I want these to go right inside there. So I need to go on the outside of the line. And I'm only going to cut it about 1/8 of an inch, a full 1/8 of an inch deep. And that's because the wood seems a little weak. of slow, only 500 RPMs. I'm going to leave that little nub for right now. I may want to use my tailpiece to center that again. Now with my straight skew, I'm going to go ahead and make my dovetail. And that should just about be it. Now before I reverse it, I'm going to go ahead and look at the shape. I still got some grooves and sharp edges here, so I may want to go ahead and round that off and actually make a foot for this. I may have to take my dovetail a little deeper. No, I think let me just round it off a little bit. So it's spinning at 850 RPMs. need to redefine my dovetail again. Go ahead and take it off and rechuck it. And I always like to put it on just slightly snug and then rotate it. And I think that helps the dovetail sit a little better. Spin it at 500 first. It's a little wobbly. It's a little wobbly, but I'll go ahead and once I start hollowing it and removing material from the inside, it'll balance itself. So I'm going to have high spots and very low spots. So I have to get my bowl chisel and get started. Okay, I've turned my lathe outboard a bit and got everything tight. And I'm going to start at 500 RPMs and see what happens. Now, it's so odd shaped that I'm going to be cutting a lot of air for a while and find out where the corners are. Never hurts to take a break and see what you got in there. There's going to be a lot of rotted wood. Seems pretty solid down the center. And I'm going to go ahead and retighten my chuck. That's okay. I'm not too concerned about cutting deep right now. Right now I'm just trying to spread out the bowl shape to the closer to the edge. That's looking pretty good. Most of the bark is gone, but that's okay. That's good. This is turning good. This over here tells me that I'm very close to the edge. This over here, this thickness here, means I need to hollow out more in this part to keep the walls the right thickness. I don't want to get this any thinner. And I'm going to go ahead and move up to about 600. Getting a little bit of vibration. Okay, so that went pretty good. You can tell it's thinning out down here. This hasn't gotten any thinner. I can also take it off a little bit off the outside and give it more of a slight taper. but I kind of like this shape. So it looks like I need to get more in here and get back out to this edge. So here's a little piece of the bark that's coming loose, and I want to keep that because it's so hard to, I don't want to lose it. So I'm going to go ahead and fill it with just regular glue. And while that dries, I can work on other parts of the bowl. And I'm just going to put a drop of glue in there, and then using a little stick here, I'll spread that glue around. And later on, when I turn and sand, I can get that out of there. And I'll just hold it for a couple of minutes, and it'll harden. Okay, I'm going to resume turning, and I'm going to make this shape a little bit more traditional, make it more rounded. This is a little bit too square for me, so I'm going to round it off a little bit. I pretty much finished turning the outside, and got all the way up to the edges, and it has a little bit a smoother shape to it. Okay, and it still feels moist in here, so I'm going to let it air dry a little bit longer, and I'm going to start working on the inside. I'm going to continue to hollow. Again, I'm going to stay away from the tips. And the places I need to hollow are here and here. I need to thin that out a little bit. And I'm not going to go very deep into these. I want to leave it a little extra thick. Some of the wood is kind of punky. And so I'll give it a coat of sanding sealer. First chance I get here. And that's what I was looking to do, is thin these out. Top is way pretty thin, but in here I need to thin it out a little bit better. And the problem there is that I'm cutting air most of the time. I gave the blank coat of sanding sealer, allowed it to dry several hours, and I scraped it with a 1-inch round nose, and that looks pretty good. They got rid of all of the grooves left from the bowl gouge. I'm gonna let that dry a little bit. There still seems to be some moisture in the wood, and then maybe ready to sand it. So here's my bowl. After 2 coats of sanding sealer, 2 coats of polyurethane satin, and 2 coats of polyurethane gloss. And I used my dummy chuck to hold it and finish it so that I could free up my chuck for other tasks. Well, if you enjoyed this video, click on like, and don't forget to subscribe.